If I were Isack Hadjar or his management, I would be very much pushing against any potential move to Red Bull before the end of this year, because he's done a real good run of form. It's really helping his confidence. He's proving himself as almost undoubtedly the strongest rookie this year.
This is talkSPORT's weekly motorsport show. On track, I'm John Jackson with Piers, former British F3 driver and F3 commentator alongside me. And we're looking back at the Dutch Grand Prix. It's time to talk about the rookies, because we saw an excellent performance from a driver that started the season in, I think it's probably safe to say, the worst possible way, because not even making the grid to your debut race in Formula One after dreaming of becoming a Formula One driver since you were a tiny little kid is actually worse than crashing out of your first ever Formula One race. We're talking, of course, about Isack Hadjar at Racing Bulls, and he's gone from there to becoming the strongest rookie on the grid, which has been, I mean, it's all come to a head, hasn't it, with him getting a podium, which had a little bit of luck with Lando Norris crashing out, but starting fourth, excellent in qualifying, coming on a podium, breaking the trophy. I mean, he's had a real weekend of it, hasn't he?
Well, he was sniffing the fumes of Max Verstappen the whole race, wasn't he? In theory, in an inferior car, whether it is or not these days is speculation, but still, it's pretty good going. And ultimately, you've got to be there or thereabouts, haven't you, to actually to make the most of it?
Yeah, it's one of those things where he wasn't just in that position and just had his own race. You know, he was very much keeping cars behind him and not putting a foot wrong, and really showing why he will be the next Red Bull driver alongside Max Verstappen next season. While you've got Yuki Tsunoda struggling, you've got Liam Lawson kind of actually finding his feet a little bit and had a good result at Hungary and was decent in this race, but nothing to write home about, and obviously a bit of an incident which we'll get onto. But he has now become the obvious choice to partner Max Verstappen next season, which probably worries him somewhat given what's happened to all of the other drivers that have gone to Red Bull.
Do you know what, actually, on that, the current generation of Red Bull has been very, very tricky, but it's likely that the next generation of Red Bull won't have the same characteristics. It's very unlikely through a change of generation that the same driving characteristics and difficulties are transferred over, because normally it comes from something that you build from the car from the ground up when they first do the base design that then can't be removed. And you're very, very unlikely in a team to have the same exact issues going forward. So if Hadjar gets promoted at the start of next season, that's almost the best opportunity that anyone's had alongside Max Verstappen in a Red Bull, assuming that Max Verstappen stays at Red Bull, in a long, long time, because he'll be learning the car at the same pace as Max, and I think Max will have the advantage based on his incredible talent and experience in Formula One, but it would be a good situation. If I were Isack Hadjar or his management, I would be very much pushing against any potential move to Red Bull before the end of this year, because he's done a real good run of form. It's really helping his confidence. He's proving himself as almost undoubtedly the strongest rookie this year. I mean, I think the stats almost back it up, don't they, really? So amazing job. Great race weekend this weekend, and showing real mental fortitude as well, as you touched on there, John. At the start of the year, crashing out before the season even got started, starting out the lowest of lows, has then just plodded along since then, consistently outperformed his teammates, and then been rewarded with what would have been a fourth place on merit, which would have been an incredible result anyway, and then through being at the right place at the right time, a third place. There's nothing more you can say. An excellent job.
And he did look like he knew what to do with himself. We know that Isack's been on the podium quite a lot in his junior career, but it's been a little while. And watching the video of the celebrations in the garage of the team members at Racing Bulls, I think they've been on the podium maybe 5 times before as a team in its many guises. And obviously this is huge for them, and they've worked incredibly hard with, rookie driver and then also a driver that's returning who is kind of a rookie, but not really, in Liam Lawson, who's probably needs a lot of managing after the huge highs and lows he's had and everything they've been through. And just watching the celebrations, you've got team members crying, you've got the mad celebrations where Isack broke the trophy, which, I mean, it seems like whenever they make a porcelain trophy, it's going to get broken. Why they don't put like a steel rod, like a reinforcement in these trophies, I have no idea. Like, racing drivers at the end of a race, if they've done well, are different beasts, so they're going to be a little bit heavy-handed with these things. But anyway, I saw some videos, actually. A couple of my friends work in Formula One. One of them is at Racing Bulls, and she shared some videos on her Instagram of some of the partying that went on afterwards, and you can imagine that Amsterdam was alive with Racing Bull team members having a good time. But you're right, Isack Hadjar, I mean, obviously we have Antonelli 7th in the championship, but with that result for Hadjar, he's 10th. And you have to say that, well, Antonelli's been in a car that should be outperforming the Racing Bulls car. There's nothing more that Isack could have done this past weekend. And obviously a little bit of luck is something that he can't affect. So it's almost, given I don't want to say a perfect race weekend, because obviously a perfect race weekend means you get on pole position, you're fastest in every session, you win the race, fastest lap and everything like that. But given the circumstances, he got 100% out of the weekend that he could have. I'm meaning to say in a long-winded way.
Well, you're saying that the result wasn't 100%, but effectively his performance was 100%. And
he couldn't have achieved more that without something else happening that meant the first two drivers crashed out, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I think, and that's all the drivers actually these days judge themselves on, is their performance based on the results, because we know that you're not going to win a race for a Haas or a Kick-Sauber or even a Racing Bulls, unless there's exceptional circumstances which come around once every few years. But they judge their performance, right? If they look through the race, how did I perform in qualify Q1, Q2, Q3? How did I execute the race start? How did I execute the first stint, the first pit stop, the second stint, the safety car? I mean, I'm going through all those things and I'm thinking Isack Hadjar, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I can't honestly put my finger on anything he did wrong during the race, even through the tricky spots of rain, as I said, he was literally sniffing the back of Verstappen's car pretty much the whole race. Did he drop any further than 5 seconds back on Verstappen at any point? Other than right at the start, I don't think he did.
Didn't look like it at all. I mean, he was known before he came into Formula One as probably most famous, if you're a casual F1 fan that doesn't watch Junior Series, as that moment in the tunnel in Monaco where he had the incredibly quick reaction speed. But now, if you search his name in a video website, it's going to be him driving a great race, breaking a trophy and having a great time. I think actually before the season, he was probably one of the drivers that were rookies that got the least focus, because you had Lawson having all the focus because he'd been promoted by Christian Horner to be alongside Max. You had Antonelli, who had a short documentary made about him because he is this protege who's not lived up to expectation yet. You've got Liam Lawson. You've got Ollie Behrman, who'd raced in Formula One 3 times before coming in this season, so people knew a bit about him. Bortoletto, I guess maybe on an even par, but he was the champion in F2, so he got a bit more press. So Hadjar's kind of come as one of the lowest ranked rookies and become incredibly successful. And maybe there's something in that without having the focus on you can just get on with your job, and other than driving, just make funny kind of voiceover videos for TikTok, which he's very good at alongside Liam Lawson at Racing Bulls. Let's talk about Ollie Behrman. He was on talkSPORT last week. If you missed it, you can check out the full video of him talking about how he failed his driving test in a spectacular way on the talkSPORT Driving YouTube channel. But for him, it looked like it was going to be another disaster weekend. He hasn't scored points since Bahrain, and he was starting in the pit lane. There was talk of them not putting the Parc Fermé cover on his car. So, I mean, it sounded like that might have been on purpose because they knew they were going to replace the engine and take the penalty. But he started from the pit lane and he finished 6th. And that, to me, means he did something pretty well.
He did. I think this Behrman, and if I look at Albon, although Albon had a pretty epic start, Stroll as well, who started again, Pinot, where had a crash in practice and quali. This was their results were born out of the fact that the race was just effectively less of a race and more a sequence of events. And it was like 3 or 4 events, safety cars and interruptions and the rains and the tyre stops, where if you just made the right decision at the right time, you didn't actually have to do anything on circuit other than drive around and stay out of trouble, and you get a good result. Behrman, he gambled or house gambled on the long first stint, gambling on other safety cars and other, interruptions. And hey, it paid off. And ultimately, Behrman still had to put himself in a position to do that. But you didn't ride on board with Behrman seeing him carve through the field. So it's hard to judge his performance like we did with Hadjar. But, again, you've got to be in the right place at the right time. He would have got points even without the DNFs of the other drivers in a Haas again. So showing very well. And he's also fairly consistently matching, if not exceeding, Esteban Ocon, who is a known quantity in Formula One, very fast driver, highly rated. So clearly as a driver in his first full season, he's doing a good job and putting himself very much in the shop window for that second Ferrari seat when it becomes available. Again, who knows when.
If you were to be presented with the dilemma of Lewis Hamilton decides that he's not going to race after the end of this season, do you see there being any other option for Ferrari other than promoting Behrman? Would they consider someone else? I mean, it seems stupid to think they let go of Carlos Sainz, but I mean, that's done now. It's in the past.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the current grid, probably not. I would go with Behrman. He's performing well enough. If you say to Behrman, look, you are going to be number 2 next year, Charles Leclerc will be our number 1 driver purely because of your experience. We'll again give you a year to bed in, score some solid points, and then go from there. I think Behrman's got the nous to do that. I think he'd show well. But Ferrari have got pretty strong junior Formula lineup, as we've discussed in previous episodes. With F3 champion Rafa Kamara has been pretty rapid as well. So I think they're in good hands in the future. But yeah, Behrman, can't look past him really. He's doing a great job. But whether he'll be able to match the likes of Leclerc, probably not. But then, a 7-time world champion hasn't been able to. So, no hard feelings there if Behrman doesn't quite jump in and set the world alight.
No, of course. So they've also got Dino Beganovic in F2, who's going to be hoping to get into Formula 1 at some point soon. Let's look at just the other rookies incredibly quickly. Antonelli, we kind of talked about there. Another mistake from him. At what stage does it get concerning for Toto Wolff?
I am feeling really sorry for Kimi Antonelli at the moment, because my opinion is he was put in the Mercedes seat too early. We've talked about it before. We don't want to go over stuff we've spoken about a huge amount, but I still believe that at the end of we 25, 26. By the end of 27, he'll be as good as anyone else. I think he'll be up with Russell, assuming he's still there alongside Russell. I think he'll be absolutely nailing it, and he'll look back on this period as a formative period and really a tough time. But often, you build your grit, you build your experience through tough times. And I think he's got the confidence from Toto that he can push through this poor period. Doesn't need the results, because Toto's going to give him a set of, at least a fairly hefty grace period, judged based on his age and lack of car racing experience. He was only racing F4 2 years ago or 3 years ago or something like that, wasn't he? So he's come up very, very quickly. So having to basically polish his driving and his skills in Formula 1, which isn't, in my opinion, the way it should be done. But hey, he's there. Toto's got the confidence in him. Yes, not going well for him. Yes, I think the pain might still last to, even towards the end of the year, but I have confidence that he will push through.
Well, as I say, he's 7th in the championship at the moment, level on points with Alex Albon. They're kind of having a bit of a battle for 7th on their own at the moment, because there's a bit of a gap back to Nico Hülkenberg. There's also a bit of a gap up to Lewis Hamilton. So, 7th or 8th in the championship for Antonelli this year, not the end of the world. We'll watch this space.